Hello, I'm Christy Darlington of Creative Profits Academy and our membership website, Creative Freedom Lifestyle. I want to share with you a special strategy that we are using in our group right now to replace our 9-to-5 job and generate passive income while we work on digital products. For those of you who've been following me for a while, I do a number of different types of strategies for building passive income on the side to help supplement your income and eventually replace your job. And some of those strategies involve things like Amazon, influencer, associates, linking to affiliate products on Amazon through blog websites, YouTube videos, also building an audience through social media, and creating KDP books, which I have used for a long time to supplement my income. All these strategies are great to use. I have all kinds of tools here in my courses within my Creative Profits Academy. And so just to give you a brief overview, these are some of the courses and different projects and things that I've developed to help you make passive income online. However, there has been one issue that has come up consistently, and that is when you're trying to build a digital product business, if you're tight on funds already, as is the case for me and several of the people in our groups, many of us have had a difficult time finding time to work on our digital products when we're working full-time, 9 to 5 hour jobs, taking care of a family, trying to keep up with all of the responsibilities of life, in addition to trying to build a business on the side. It can be a very slow and daunting process. And if you don't have the money for ads, it's very hard to get your business off the ground. So in addition to all of the different courses and strategies that we've developed for building digital products, and even things like t-shirt business and KDP books so that you can earn royalties, and all of these different things that you can do, something we've recently added in is crypto investments. Here is a little bit about our crypto investments. We have a number of different types of platforms that we found. There's strength in numbers because, as you know, the crypto market is risky. I am not a financial advisor, and let me just say out front that I don't recommend you putting money in here that you can't afford to lose, just because, sometimes these platforms only last for a year or two. And so it's really important to kind of hedge with many different strategies and many different platforms. And today we're going to go over some of the platforms we in our community are using, with just starting with just a few funds, being able to build with something as simple as $100, and using these different platforms, we can turn that into $10,000 a month, replacing our full-time job income within 2 years. So I'll show you today how we do that. And just so you know, this is the course where we go over some of these strategies, and we're always looking at new platforms and new strategies all the time. So if you join our community, these strategies that you're seeing on this video may be available, or we might have switched to some other platforms. Just know that we are always working to try to bring investments in the crypto market and other types of investments we find to tie in with our digital product businesses in order to increase the passive income and allow you more time where you don't have to work full-time at your job to be able to work on your digital product business. So before we get too far along, I just wanted to share this information as an introduction to the courses and some of the free things we have here at Creative Profits Academy. I encourage you to get my 5 passive income strategies for busy parents. You can download that for free. Sign up for my email newsletter, and you can learn about these different strategies and some of the ones that we have training for free to kind of get you started if you don't have any money. But a lot of these things don't take a lot of money, as you will see today. If you join our membership course, we go into depth on these other investment strategies to boost your income online. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for informational purposes only. Please consult with your financial advisor before you make any significant financial decisions. And let's get started with our call. All right, so what I'm going to do right now is do a screenshot of the map that I'm coming up with for tying all these platforms together and what you can do. And I will say, if you can squeeze out $100 from your budget every single month, you're going to expedite the getting to the $10,000 a month even quicker. And I'll show you guys kind of my calculations on that. But if you don't have that and you just have $100, and for those of you in my paid community, which is all of you, you're also getting gifted into a lot of these platforms too. Every couple months, I'm trying to find a new platform to get you guys into. I don't know if I can keep that pace up the whole year, but with added contributions too, you guys are going to make this progress, I believe, by my calculations, much quicker. So we'll go through all of that. And then, of course, when you have a little extra, you can see with your own calculators, you can play with numbers further and see how quickly you can get to that 10,000 a month. I think 10,000 a month would pretty much replace everybody's income, on most jobs anyway. At least pay your bills and maybe pay off some debt in the process. So this is my goal, is to get you guys enough investment income to replace your job, which will then work for you to pivot your focus away from your job and focus on your business, what you want to build as a community, as like a YouTube, a blog site, whatever kind of business idea that you have. And I know June has some physical products that she's thinking of, like for horse care, and like getting something that she could like ship out to people. And all of that takes time to design, to develop, to find your suppliers for all the products when you're creating your own products. And it's very hard to build a business when you're working full time. I know that because personally in my own life, when I started my Christian ministry, which now generates with nonprofit, 100% supported by churches and individuals, 80,000 a year. I only take about a third of that right now for income to pay my bills, but that's my paycheck. But even that, I want to cut back more and put more into the mission. But just getting that to that level has taken me many, many years. I was working full time for 9 years, building that business on my spare time. And that's how long it took me just organically. I didn't do paid ads. I didn't know how. So that was going to conferences, that was doing podcasts, that's being on the radio with people, that's joining, people with YouTube. We didn't have a lot of YouTube at the beginning, but it was, yeah, I started in the late 90s. So it was mailing packets out to people. I put some information together. I go to the print shop and print my own little workbooks because we didn't have KDP on Amazon. It used to be in those days. I would publish my book originally through some self-publisher company that used to have a printing press, and they would print my books on their own printing press. It was so cool. This is the late 90s, and then there started to be the online printing, and Create Space was the name of the Amazon's first version of KDP, was Create Space. I was on at the very beginning, and then they pivoted over to KDP, that took over it. I love KDP because now all of my different translated books can be available through Amazon in other countries. I was mailing ridiculous pricing to try to get a book overseas, like to the UK, and I didn't know anything about customs. Now I'd probably be blocked trying to do that. But in those days, that I was like getting onto CreateSpace and Amazon KDP just to try to get the materials out there into the hands of pastors in Spanish-speaking countries and Portuguese, where we were getting them translated. So a little bit of my history. I've been online forever, and organics has kind of been my thing, my go-to, in collaborations with other people in my niche. And I still think that's a very viable business model to last for a long time. What we're doing here with the investments with crypto, these projects don't always last much more than a couple years, maybe 2-3 years. So what I show you tonight may not be available even next year. We don't know. We think they'll be okay for a couple years, but we don't know if, as things change in the crypto market, and the market is rapidly changing now with banks adopting the crypto, and just a lot of things are changing in the regulatory side of things as the US is adopting the crypto market. It's really incredible. But that also, with that comes great risk for a lot of changes, that some of these numbers might not crunch out the full 2 years for us, but I think they will. I mean, there's a lot of reasons because they all have business models behind them. And that's something that we're looking for, is something that has a bona fide business strategy behind that can bring money back in to be able to continue paying us out. So our philosophy, this is Miller's philosophy as well, is that if we can create a system where we put our money in and a little extra money, but you still have your job paying your bills, that gives you more security so that you could test some of these platforms. If something goes down, you're working, first of all, to get your investment out and then continue to compound or build on whatever the investment has made to continue working your way towards your financial goals. So there's goals here to paying off debt, and all of us have that. And then all of us have a certain level of income we need to hit to be able to replace our full-time jobs. I'm projecting $1,000 a month within 1 year on these platforms. And then I believe we can be up to $10,000 a month within 2 years, assuming all these platforms that we currently have remain in operation over the next 2 years. So let me go ahead and share my screen now that I've given that intro into things. I've put things together in a Word document, and I'm going to assume we're just going to start really cheap. Like for a lot of us who are stretched on our bills, coming up with $100 can be very difficult. And for some, that might be all you have right now just to get started. But if you have that $100 a month and you can add to this, it goes quicker. So here's what I'm going to recommend. This is a brand new platform. I'm going to try to zoom it in. Can you guys see it? Okay. This is one that I'm looking at introducing after our 3-month investment is up and we get paid out sometime in mid-March. My plan, that's kind of my target date to get you guys gifted into this one as well. And because you're in the paid community, I always start you with $100 deposit. They have different plans in here, but the best paying plan one right now that you can continue to invest back in is this one here. It pays 2.2% daily for 5 days, and it returns your investment in 20 days. So when you think business days, you got 5 days in a business days in a week. That's approximately 4 weeks of investment in here. That's a month. And you make approximately this 2.2% per day, which at 2.2% times 5 days is approximately 10 to 11%. For easy math, I just think 10% when I do my calculations to make it real easy. And you can see the average. Now, they give things in a range. So what you see here, this is kind of the average 2.2, but it goes up. Sometimes it pays more. Some days it pays a little bit less. And so they give you the average weekly income at $15 with $100. This is kind of our starting platform with $100. Now, if you only have that one-time deposit of $100, and let's say it's turning about 10% per week, that's 40% back in a week. And you guys can math this out, but I already kind of did it, so I'm not going to do it here. But, you know, that would be like $40 on your $100 investment back in this first month. And then we could, you know, it says average total profit in the first month is 44 because it does pay a little bit more, but I just did simple math and I did 10%, even though 2.2 is more like 11%. So it tells you the average total profit. What you would do is you would take that 44 bucks and you would add, when you get your $100 investment back, the next month you would just sign up again, send that investment right back in with the $44, and you would build on this platform your $100 turning into right about $500 and more. Technically, I gauged very conservative, but it would take about 6 months to reach $500. Now, if you have an extra 100 to throw into the investment, and you can like take your income and say, well, I got an extra 100 each month, then that drops it to about 3 months, you're at $500. At $500, you can go into the 7-month plan. There's a 7-month plan in one of our platforms. You guys have all seen it. If you go into the 7-month compound plan, and I put that down here. So let me just scroll down my calculator with that. That 7-month plan takes $500 minimum, and you compound it. In that platform, it will give you $2,536 after 7 months if you don't touch the earnings at all. So you can go this route. This is my preferred route, is for you to take that 500 that you got out of that 100, or if you're throwing an extra, in the first 6 months, or if you throw an extra 100, you could do this in 3 months and go into this one. Have 2,500. Now, let's say at that first 6 months, you actually needed to live off of the income that this one was making. Well, then at 500, for a living income, you could take home $1,540 over the course of 7 months. So, strategizing. Meg, I know you're looking at your contract for your temporary job being up in 5 months. That, let's say they extended at least one more month, so you have 6 months. Let's say during this 6 months, you have an extra $100 to throw into this one. What you could do is when it hits 500, you could take that 500 and move it down into the other plan that does the 7-month compound, and get that one going in 3 months if you have an extra 100. And then what you could do while that one's going for 7 months, you could take and rebuild the next 3 months. And you could build up another 500, throwing an extra 100 from your paycheck each month, so that in 6 months you could be making this amount on this platform, because you would have 500. So you essentially would get two 500 sets. While you have your job, you throw $100 in, and you get that first 500 in 3 months thrown into the other compounder. Then you take the next 3 months and you throw it into this plan, so that and just add to it, so you don't take any money out yet. And what that does at 500, at 1,500, is it will produce what you see here in the numbers here. That 500 in this plan paid to you every month will give you an average profit of $220 for you to live on, because you'll get your $220 profit plus your 500 back. You throw the 500 back for month 2. So this is at this part of the game. If you have to live on this income or supplement whatever temp job you take for the next 6 months, you could have that $220 in 6 months that you could live on, while at the same time taking the original first 3 months $500 that you put in the compound and create this amount. I'm going to stop for just a second. Did you guys follow my strategies here for someone who needs to have a living income within 6 months? Do you have any questions?
Was the 2,500, that's like a monthly,
So the
or
one for
that's just what
2,500, it's compounding. So what you do is you put the 500 into this one, and it locks it up for 7 months. And then when you get it back, you'll have this amount. This other one pays it out every month, and you put it back in. But the advantage of this plan is that you're getting paid back every month, so that if you need a monthly income to live on within 6 months, I'm recommending the first 3 months, if you're throwing an extra 100, put that into the compounder. The second 3 months, for the next 6 months, put that into this plan here, so that, in 6 months, because this is 3 months. If you're putting an extra 100, you could have 2 sets of 500, starting with that first plan up here. So this would be the amount you would make just reinvesting it every month, versus the other one will make the 2,500 if you don't have to touch it, don't have to live on it, and you could let it lock up for 7 months. So this is like your first year, technically starting this month, or whatever month we start this. It will run you through, if you do the 2 500s and you're able to put like 100 away, like Meg while she has her job. If you can put 100 towards this platform, this is our best payout when our current 3-month plan is over. Because our current one we got for Christmas with all the promotions and everything, they're stopping that plan. They're not going to have that going after 3 months. So our next best player or payout platform is this one, which is the one I'm going to sponsor each of you guys in with your first $100 in this one in March. So I'll be gifting you guys into this one in March with $100. You'll start with this plan and then you can move your way up. Or there's another one that, well, I'll explain it then. I'm not going to go into all the details on this one because there's a lot of different plans. So, but none of the ones in this platform will compound. All of them pay out after 20, 25 days, or you lock them up for maybe 3 weeks or 3 months. I think the most I saw was like 3, maybe they have 6 months, but they don't have a lot of compounding plans available. So it's mostly you take the profit to your bank and you use it for a living income. And in our case, it's the best payer for building off of $100 and building a set amount that we can then roll into a compounding platform, the other one that I would recommend. So I'm just showing you the difference. If you just keep running this program and you wanted to have any money to live on, this is the amount that you could make. That $220 per month times 7 months would average that. Well, actually, I averaged low, didn't I? Because they said the average weekly is 77, so that's how I calculated. If you go with the 220, that comes up with 1575. And again, it's a little flexy on the amount they pay, so they're giving you a range, and that's why the discrepancy in the numbers here between daily amount, weekly income versus the amount at the end of the total profit for your 20 days, your 20 business days. So, but these are your best payers. So for my strategy, especially like for Meg, when she's going to be losing her job in about 5 to 6 months, put $100 towards this first one, and I'll be giving you $100 in March. But you can start this right now, Meg, if you wanted to, with the money you have at your job, and start building that first 500. And then in May, when you get paid out on the other plan, we'll just have even more to throw into this, because all you have to do is math it. Let's say the other one's going to be close to $500 and you need to be able to have money to live on. You could throw that into here, and instead of $500, you could put the 1,000 in, because this one goes $50 to 1,000 at this amount of payout, and all it does is doubles the numbers here. So if your other program, the one that we did in November, comes due, creating that $500, and you threw that in with another 500 you built, you could conceivably have $440 or possibly more a month. So that could also help. But that's the most you can get to with where you're at right now, with what we currently have going and what I can give you in March, to add to your income if you start on these platforms. This one up here with 100 right now. And I recommend build this up. Put an extra 100 and just keep building it, because in 3 months you could do the math. But adding an extra 100 to this month 2 and month 3 will greatly increase it, so you're at 500 in about 3 months with what they pay out, that about 40% that they pay out that first month or each month. So this is primarily for if you can't compound because you need to have some to live on. These are the platforms you want to be on. So conceivably, within 1 year, with the $500 in this platform and compounding at the same time, you can create, I believe, $1,000. And this is why. Because if you got an extra 100 you're putting in every month, so you create one 500 plan in this one that's compounding for 7 months, and then you create this one that's paying back to you, so that you have a little extra money in the meantime during those 7 months. Then what you could do when you get up here, I'll just go ahead and throw it down. Then you could pivot to the 1 year compounding plan at 88.5% for 1 year. So it pays you a higher percentage when you get over $1,000. So at this level, you could compound for 1 year if you don't need to live on it. You could have this much income that you could pull out on the compounding 1 year plan. If you do need and at this level, I'll show you what you could do. You could take 10% of this if you compounded, moved from the one, because by the time you put your 500 in here in 7 months from that date, you've got this much money. If you throw it into the compounding plan on the 1 year, you have to have a minimum of 1,000. If you put the whole thing in here for the second year, at this level right here, we got another platform. Again, I haven't introduced you in the other platform, but the other platform takes your balance. It could take this and it pays out 16% per month. You could flexible play. You could have it compound, or you could turn it off. And so that's 28,000 a month if you did that. What I'm going to recommend, if you have debt to pay off, you want to pay off a mortgage, you split half of this, and like you put 90,000. I think 90 or 100,000 is the max it'll let you add to that plan. But let's say at 90,000, you're getting 16%. That is 100. That's 1,400. Wait, let me do that again. At 90,000 in the other plan, I got to add the zeros, and you got 16% back. That's 14,000 a month. So, I mean, you're golden to even just take, well, or 80,000 out. That's half of it. 80,000, the other half of it pays your mortgage or pays down your mortgage, and then 80,000 makes you 12,000 a month. So in that other platform, you could turn off compounding and literally have, without touching your principal, you could have 10, 12, 16, 14,000 a month, all depending on how much of this you roll over, if you don't need to touch it for 2 years. So if you don't have to live on it. So that's another plan we can go. Or you could do a split. Let's say, Meg, you got a temp job, you're really needing money to live on. That 7 months, you do the 500 packages, you do the one that you're building for monthly income that you could take out. And then the other one, you're compounding for 7 months. And then you get it into that plan that this is the amount it makes in 1 year. You could split half. You could split this in between these two. You could take one and lock up one for a year at 1,000. And that's how much it'll make. So if you lock that up for $1,000, it will compound to this amount in 1 year. And then, of course, at 16%, at 69,000, with just 1,000 in this one compounding 1 year plan that pays out the 8.5%, we'll split this. We'll do one this way. Now you're making 11,000 a month once you get to the 1 year mark in this plan. And this is splitting that 2,500 from the 7 month plan. So let's say we did the 7 month, took the 500, we took the 2,500. I'm showing you many different strategies that can be done. Instead of compounding the whole thing, we'll split it. We'll pull 1,000, compound to here in 1 year. The other 15,000, look what its payout would be in this program to pay to you every month. This is the next level up. It pays 2.7%. When you have 1,000 to 20,000, you put that 1,500 in. It's an average monthly payout, as you can see here, is $1,000 a month. So after that 7 month plan that we compound with the original 500 goes 7. So in 1 year, using this plan, if we split that 2,500 and put 1,000 into the 1 year plan, that can make this much in 1 year. And then the other 1,500 you put into this one to make $1,000 a month to help supplement your income. And so this would be like your 1 year compound plus take to your bank an extra 1,000 a month. I'm going to stop right here. I know I covered a lot right here. Do you guys understand so far kind of the strategy here of a split way of doing things? One is compounding, the other one's paying to the bank. And do you have any questions on that? Yep. So that's the other one. You could start that right now. If you had $100, we'd get you in here. I just won't be able to gift you an extra 100 for it until March. So, all right. And then there's this one. So if we do the split one, where 1,000 goes in the compounder, and then the other 1,500 goes in this plan to pay out to you every month, so that you have 1,000 to live off of. During that time, you can move the 69,000 at the end of that. 1,000 goes, it compounds up to 69,000, and then look what it'll do. You can put it into here. It will create $11,000 per month in profit, just rolling that over into here. You take the 69,000 when it's done compounding for a year, that 1,000 gets compounded. You roll it into this platform, and it makes 16% of that on 1 year. And this is if you turn off the compounding, this is the amount you'd be able to live off of. As you can see, that is a job replacement, $137,000 a year that you would be able to take in profit without reducing your 69,000 that you would deposit from the 1 year compound plan. So ultimately, this one is the goal, to be able to replace your job, being able to get to this level. But if you need income along the way, it's like a 2-year plan, because you got to go from that first 3 months, 3 to 6 months, getting that 500, go into the next 7 months, that's a year, to get you that 2,500. So you basically are taking that initial 2,500, and if you need to start living off of that income because your job isn't producing enough, then you would do the split of that 2,500, and you would do 1,000 put into the 1 year plan to compound the whole time, and that deposit will be what you put into that last platform to make 16% per month. And then this other one can also provide monthly income of 1,000 per month. So at that 1 year mark, you're making 1,000 a month. And by my calculations, with it split, you can easily pivot into this one that makes $11,000 a month with the compounding off, because you'll make $137,000 a year in just the profit that you have on it, moving that 1 year 69,000 amount into this at the end of, and by my calculations, it's about 2 years tying all these platforms together. You have replaced your income, and this is with just putting $100 aside for the first 3 months, or you don't have the money, you just have $100. You go 6 months, and then keep building it to that first 500. But I recommend, if you need to live off of it, like in your case, because your job is going away, then you probably want to put that extra 100 every month, as much as you can, during the 5-6 months until your job is gone, and try to build some monthly income alongside the compounding. But for people that don't need or don't have the extra money to put in, and they just have $100, they could just play with this one system. It takes 6 months to get that first 500, then go in the 7-month plan, then compound to the year, and then throw it into this one. If you don't have extra money at all, it just take you a couple years to do that, but you can make that 11,000 per month. As you can see, that's a pretty decent amount to make per year. I've never made that much. I'm pretty excited. I plan to get there. I'm putting everything I can into these things right now, with the goal that I'll be there in a year, and totally replace my income from my ex and everybody else in this child custody, and not child custody, a child support and alimony divorce. I only got 2 years left of that anyway. I might as well cut it early if I can. With these systems, in a year would be great. But worst case scenario, I got 2 years of support if I don't have the systems well enough in place by then. So that's what I wanted to share tonight. Yeah, about, kind of the strategies behind, taking you from where you're at right now to get you to replace your income, and then ultimately, I really encourage you to do the digital product business. Get, or in your case, June, you want to create your own tangible horse product. That would be so awesome because we don't know how long these platforms will last. I doubt that they're 20, 30 years. Maybe they will, but I kind of think over the next 5, 10, 20 years, I mean, there's likely so many new things will change in the market. We don't know. We don't know where crypto will be. We don't know where, what kind of platforms will be available throughout the next few years anyway. So, yeah, this replaces your job, but you really want to be building your income with a legitimate, profit business of some sort, whether that's tangible products or whether that's digital products, whether that's coaching like Meg is trying to do, those kinds of things. We need all of these other things in place because we don't know how long this will last. This is really great right now. And hopefully it will be good for at least 2 years to get us at this point where we're making good income. And then we could put our full focus on our own businesses. That'll be probably the long-term ones. Like I can say for my mission, I didn't have any way to make money to pay my bills. So I had to work for 9 years. Golly, having a system like this that would have paid my bills for 2 years, I could have built my products out so much quicker and gotten to more conferences and all kinds of things a lot quicker to get my mission launched. And ultimately, because it is 501c3, I don't own all of those funds. So I'm building another business and a lot of other things with my gardening and hydroponics and all that, cats and gadgets and stuff. So I'm looking at that replacing long term. What this will give me in the short term is a leg up to ultimately funnel towards my other, hopefully long term business in the other niches that I'm pursuing. So thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Good night, Meg. Good night,
Good
Christy.
night.